All right, so I think the next step we're going to do is we're going to try to make the reservoir. It goes underneath and holds the water, holds the pump, holds all the stuff so the water can flow to it. So yeah, I guess without wasting too much time, I think we best just get to it. So as you can see, we got the reservoir made. It looks like it fits nice and tight. Pretty happy with that. Kind of should hold the right amount of water. However, found a little bit of a problem while doing this, and this is pretty common when you do designs in general, this is why it's important to make things to scale. You find these problems. So the way that this back piece is, I don't know how we're going to drain it back into the reservoir. So kind of show you what I mean. Since it has to drain back into the reservoir and it's sitting outside the reservoir, we'd either have to shape the reservoir different, or I don't even know how we'd fix this. To me, I think we have to look at this again. So I think we take these posts and move them into the corner like you see here, and yeah, that way we do the kind of the same thing. We run it across the side here, it does the same rotation as before, and yeah, let's see how that goes. So I like this. I think this is much better now that we got things sort of cleaned up a little bit. I think it's going to make sure that everything can, flow the right way around this tray. We got a little bit of cleaning up to do still, but I think that's going to work a lot better. Everything stays in the reservoir. It's able to move around, come back to the same point. It seems to stack nice, so I'm okay going with this one. I think this will work. We're probably going to end up changing it 10 times since, so you don't want to get lost in details because you never get anything done. So this here, this is good. Alright, so now that we got that taken care of, I want to add the next pole, which is going to run the power, and just see how all that's going to fit together. So let's get that started. The next piece that I'm kind of wrestling with is I don't know how well this design is going to work. I need to find a way to brace these so that it can't wobble back and forth. I have to be able to do that in such a way that it can connect. It can connect to the base. What do we got there? So we have the kind of the reservoir here. We need this to connect to here somehow so that it can't like wobble forward. And yeah, kind of struggling with that. So I've been working on a few different concepts, and I'm kind of drawing blanks, can't lie. One is to kind of build a metal stand that holds it, and it goes underneath the reservoir, kind of like you see here. This is the side view, this is the reservoir, this is that water tower. There'd be a piece that actually slides underneath the reservoir that's metal, comes up behind it, and then kind of holds it with like a bar that would kind of look like that, right? And then that's like a top view of it. So that's one idea. The other idea is actually to change up where these legs are and maybe put one in front, one behind, and I guess it fixes another problem that I was looking at, which is like I don't want things leaning forward. If we have like a box, say here, and it starts leaning forward, the water is going to pool over here. It's not going to flow very nice, and it's just going to be bad. So we want to be able to like put the next level up and be able to support it almost at the front, but you also want it not to look ugly. So I don't know. Kind of playing around with some ideas here, and I think I'm going to try and see if I can find a way to get this stand to rest on here and in such a way that it can not tilt forward. I'm going to try actually taking one of these, moving it ahead, see how that looks, and see if there's a way that I can kind of structure this so that it can accept these poles, or some way to keep it standing upright. So it's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to play around with it. We'll see what we get. So this is the idea right now, part of the idea behind this is that it keeps these trays from being able to lean forward. They're going to be getting supported by the same support that's going to be wiring all of our lights. So it's, I don't know, I'm not married to the idea yet. I guess we're just trying to experiment with the general concept. It fixes a lot of problems. We don't have to make something quite as sturdy. I think we can come across here with something a little bit more decorative, a little better support, kind of give it a little bit of classiness. The light, remember, goes in the middle, and of course it's not going to be square. We're probably going to have a little bit of shape to it. This is just for the purpose of kind of exploring it. It's kind of oddball, but still symmetrical. I like that. Yeah, so this is kind of what we're experimenting with now. So the next challenge is we need to find a way to get these to kind of connect together in such a way that it's kind of useful connecting with this, as well as connecting into the bottom here with this reservoir somehow. Because now it doesn't really have to lock in because they're all just going to kind of stand on top of each other. So yeah, we'll see where we end up there. Alrighty, so played around a little bit here. I don't think it's terrible. It actually kind of worked out really good just sort of by accident, which seems to be the case with a lot of these kind of designs. You just kind of play around with something till it works. So here's kind of the idea we have right now. We actually extended a chunk that fits in the top here on the bottom here. And what makes it kind of nice is it lets it settle on the reservoir. Also made a little spacer here to kind of keep it set in place. There's probably going to be some stuff that makes it so that it gets held in place a little bit better, but I just don't want to focus. That's easy enough stuff to do later on, because I don't see that dramatically changing the structure of something all that much, because it's going to be held at the top with the lights with a mechanism, and that should keep everything spaced. And as long as it's just going to be kind of resting on here, it's not as important that it's super rigid. It's more that it just reaches a solid bottom, and I think that's where this is kind of nice. This extends, so I guess just to get an idea of what the piece looks like is they have these ends on the bottom, which means they can slide into each other really easily, right? So you have this little knob at the end, which means it slides into the other piece really nicely, gives you a tight fit, and that lets you build them really cleanly. So this piece can go all the way to the bottom, run up your lights. We'll probably have a hole in here for where the cord comes in for the lights. But meanwhile, this can use that piece to rest on the bottom, like you see here, which is really, really cool. And then of course we did a bit of a cutout on our tray, so it has a cutout because there's really no point running a hole through here. It's just going to become kind of a drain, and this can be completely separate from the rest of the system because this is the only part that actually is used for draining, so we might as well cut this out. Then we have no risk of any water getting into the electrical or water leaking past. It just makes the most sense. And then I think what I'll do is probably push this back a little and kind of shape this. Like, it's only rectangle right now because, well, we're working on the design. So once we solidify the design concept, then we start to really refine the shape. And I think that's when I can kind of play around with this. I don't think we'll do a square, probably have something with a little bit more shape to it. But yeah, I like that. I think that's a good place to go. The next step, I guess, is going to be a mechanism to attach those lights. So I've ordered the lights, waiting for those lights. Once we get them, we'll measure them up and try and find a way to attach them in here. And then there's going to be a piece that comes across here, which the lights are attached to, but also attaches to these supports and this tray somehow. So yeah, it'll be the next sort of challenge. Once we do that and we have a mechanism for daisy chaining our lights, I think we're really far ahead. Then it's a matter of working on some of the more details, making sure everything clips in nicely, making sure it's sturdy, it's level, that the draining mechanisms work, that the design is clean, trying to refine it. So, but I like that. That turned out pretty good. So I just want to finish with, let's just try and get the other side set up so that a power cord can be run. And that way we can see how all the pieces go in, because I still want to see if I can make both these pieces the same. So So that's all the time we got for this one. We finished up the reservoir. I like how the connectors came together. I think we have a way to piece them together as well as connect to our reservoir. I like the shape. I think we made a ton of progress today. So I'll see you guys in the next video.